welcome to another edition of Nook News. I'm Beth Hadfield, the Activity Coordinator at the Center for Active Living. Today's topic is going to be World Elder Abuse Awareness Day, which happens every June 15th. I have three guests joining me this morning. I'm going to introduce them individually and they can tell you a little bit about themselves. Our first guest is Terry Kourtz, Protective Services Director for Old Colony Elder Services. Welcome, Terry.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Again, I'm Terry Kourtz and I work at OCES and I'm the Protective Service Director. And we investigate elder abuse, neglect, financial exploitation, and self-neglect. And we go out into the communities and meet with our consumers to determine what we can do to try and help them alleviate elder abuse.
Awesome. Thank you. And thank you for joining me today. Along with Terry, I have Tommy Cuddihy, Protective Services Specialist. Welcome, Tommy.
Thanks, Beth. Thanks for having me. I, along with Terry, work at Old Colony Elder Services. I've been here about 5 years, working in the Protective Service Department. I've been an investigator. I've also been a supervisor here. So I have a wide range of expertise, if you would say. I'm excited about this topic. It's very important to get the awareness out there for everybody, really.
Thanks, Tommy. And last but not least, our Chief of Police, Mike Botieri.
Oh, thanks. Sorry about that. I appreciate being involved. Thank you very much, Mike Botieri. I'm the police chief here in Plymouth. I've been on the job here for 36 years. And I've been the chief for the last 13 years. And we have a great working relationship with everyone involved here. And we obviously take these type of cases very seriously. And we're able to collaborate and hopefully provide services and connect people to care whenever we see a need in that. So thanks for allowing me to participate. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Chief. I appreciate it. Glad you're with us. So every year, World Elder Abuse Awareness Day happens on June 15th. And the whole idea of our discussion today is to bring everybody's awareness to what can and does happen to seniors in our community. And not just in our community, it happens worldwide. Terry, I thought maybe you could start by discussing signs and symptoms of elder abuse.
Yes, thank you. So it's important for us to get notification if something's happening with our consumers in the community. And some of those things that we need to know what's happening is by signs and symptoms. So you may see and you may have an ongoing relationship with the consumer, family member, friend, neighbor. And it's important to see if there's a change in some of the behaviors, to see the red flags, to get the report to us so that we can see what's going on. Some of those signs and symptoms may include, a change of behavior, a change of appearance. It may look like somebody has had weight loss, or they may be having an injury that's unexplained. They may show fear in the presence of somebody else. It depends on what's happening. You may be going into the home, or you may be seeing somebody in the doorway and you notice that their bills are piling up. They may be unpaid. They may not be having electricity or have food in their home. So these are some red flags that there might be something going on, and to try and explore that a little bit and talk to somebody about it to determine, is there something else that can be done? Are there services that they may need, or some additional assistance that they may need in the home?
Awesome. Thank you. Mm-hmm. Tommy, how would someone go about reporting a case of suspected abuse?
Yeah, so the state of Massachusetts has a couple avenues that people can use. The first one, you can call into a hotline. It's called the Centralized Intake Unit, also known as the Elder Abuse Hotline. And the number for that is 800-922-2275. And if you call that number, it's like a hotline. So you'll call, you'll get someone on the other end that will take the report for you. You might have to wait a little bit of time if it's busy. If it's not, you might get someone right away. and they will just walk you through questions of the person's name, date of birth. And the thing we want people to know too is you might not know a ton of information about the person. So it's okay to tell the intake worker that you just don't know that information, but that you're very concerned for this person for the following reasons. They'll walk you through a little bit, of their questions. And there's also another avenue that people can do. You can file a report online on the massgov.website. So that one, we urge people, if you're suspecting it to be more of an emergency situation where you feel like something needs to be done in the next day or 2 hours, we ask that you call the hotline. That's the best way to get the information to us at Protective the quickest. You can do the online report, like I said, on mass.gov website. And in the search bar, you can just type, report elder abuse, and then it will walk you through the process of filling out the form. After both of those reports are taken, whether you do it through the hotline or online, the report will then get sent to whatever protective service agency covers your area. So for Old Colony, it would get sent to us, and a person like myself or my coworkers would screen the report to determine, is it something that we can screen in to try to help? And then it would get assigned to a protective service investigator who would then look into the concerns with their supervisor and come up with a plan to try to get out there and offer our services, how we can help, if we can help. And what we do, it's a collaborative job that we do. We ask for help from family members, from police, from anybody really involved to try to help these people. And we just want people to know, even if you've reported in the past and you feel like either nothing got done or something did get done and you're still concerned, you should file again. If you're concerned for someone, just file that report, and, the professionals like ourselves can try to get involved and see how we can help.
When a report is filed, there are no names. Obviously, the name of the victim is given, but as far as people reporting, because many people don't want to get involved in other people's lives, those names are never shared, are they?
That's correct. Yeah. We don't divulge who reports. You can stay anonymous if you would like. We would like you to put your name if you're comfortable with it. Obviously, if you're not, it's okay too. Because we do like to try to reach out to you to just maybe get some more information or see if there's anything additional you can give to help. But you can stay anonymous if you would like to.
In a serious situation, and I guess this is a question for everybody, in a serious situation, are there times when you would also call the police because you do not want to go into the house without being, without protection? Terry, do you want to, or Chief? I'm not sure who wants to answer that.
Let me start.
We definitely see that happening. Go ahead, Beth. You want to take that?
Terry, go ahead.
Yeah, I'll take that, and you can certainly piggyback on it. Yes, we take safety very seriously for our workers and for the consumer. We want to make sure that we're not disrupting their safety by going into the home. So oftentimes we will rely on the police prior to a visit to determine, is there any safety needs for us going in? And if there is, will the police accompany us in that home visit to determine safety for us and the consumer? It's again, very serious. We want to make sure that everybody is safe.
Yeah, and what we can add to that is we can add a history of calls of service to that household. So that gives us a little bit of better picture, for police, and I think for really all services that bring, any type of service to someone's household. Information and knowledge of history is really powerful for us. The more we know, the safer we can do it, not only for the worker, but also for, the client or the subject in the household. So we always stand ready to do that. We will share that information with any of the workers, and we'll go there with them to make sure it's handled safely. So absolutely.
Awesome. Chief, we talked a little bit before we went on the air about that the police deal with a little bit of a different aspect. Not that you don't deal with the physical part, but you hear more about monetary issues. Am I correct?
Yeah, we see a lot of what we would call fraud or some type of financial fraud where they're taking advantage of, and really, if you look at it, they're really taking advantage of a lot of times emotions and people at a certain age, you have grandchildren and they'll make these phone calls and tie it into something that's emotional for that person. So when people get these calls, they've all heard of them where, your grandson needs help or needs bail money or needs this or owed a loan. And if the loan doesn't get paid, there'll be a warrant for their arrest. And I think we've all gotten those calls. And most of the time you can see through it really quickly. But I think someone that's a little bit older and they're trying to take advantage of that person, they can get bought in really easily. Especially if you're talking about a loved one that they're very close to and they want to help. And, so obviously we want people to stop at that point and actually, make a phone call to your other family members or someone that you trust and try to get advice. Because anytime they're asking for personal information on a phone, you should just never give it out. And don't fall into the trap of, call me back, here's the number. And they answer the phone, Social Security Department. I mean, people will fall into those traps and feel like they did okay. And it's embarrassing to them. So they don't really want to report things. Anytime they're asking for personal information, anytime they're asking you to send them something in what would be like a debit card or purchase these debit cards and drop them in the mail, obviously, a lot of those times they get in the debit cards and they just give the number off the back, which they can use. That's all they need. They don't need the card. So they feel like they're physically holding the card. And they've already given the actual code off the back so the money can be spent. So all those things that are happening, and we don't expect people to know all those little things. It's really your gut feeling. And if you're asked to give anything or purchase anything and deliver it, or it's important to stop and ask someone that you trust. We have had a lot of situations where, tellers at a bank or people in like a Walmart will have someone come up and ask for, I need 50, 30, $25 cards. And it's like, what are they for? And they ask questions and they actually stop people. And it's really good to see. We've had a couple of situations recently where, a young teller just understands it just seems wrong. And if the person, insists on buying, $2,500 in debit cards, they'll bring a manager over and they'll call us and we'll educate them. And we're happy to say we've caught a lot of people just trying to do the right thing. And we appreciate the help of the public and the workers at these different locations. When they see something or a teller in a bank, they should ask questions, But, you mentioned earlier, people don't want to get in other people's business. They don't want to be involved. And I guess I would say at this point, just picture, one of your family members. And I think you'd be very thankful that someone, whether it's a 22-year-old clerk at a store or a bank teller, you'll be very thankful that they got involved and asked some questions. So just think of it that way.
I think that was a great explanation. Terry, do you want to talk a little bit about how this year is going to look a little bit different in years past? We've usually done a live event at the Cal, walk downtown, we make a lot of noise.
Yes, for World Elder Abuse Awareness Day, we usually do a march, but due to COVID, we're unable to get together in person. So we wanted to do something equally as impactful to try and get the word out there that elder abuse is happening and is still out there and what to do about it. So this year we're going to do lawn signs, and those are going to be available for pickup at the Cal and at OCES as well as in Brockton. And those lawn signs are going to depict World Elder Abuse Awareness Day is June 15th. And, if you see something, say something, and here's the number to report it. We're hoping that that's going to help build awareness that people know what to do and where to report if there is a concern.
We talked a lot about physical signs. So do you find that many of the reports come from hospital or doctor more than they come from actual lay people in the community?
I think it's a combination. We get reports from mandated reporters and non-mandated reporters. The mandated reporters are the social workers, from the hospitals or the VNAs, police, fire department, EMS, COAs. We get reports from neighbors or family members or people who just see something that they're not sure what's happening. And we encourage those reports. We want to make a difference. We want to be out there and help people, but we can't do it if we don't have the information to start. So if something doesn't seem right, if something doesn't, look right, if you're concerned about something, we ask that you please pick up the phone. Please call us, consult. We're here, to let you know whether something is reportable if you're not sure. But we want to make a difference, and we need to do that by starting with the report.
I want to bring up, I printed out a lot of material, so I was very prepared for my discussion. And one of the emotional and behavioral signs is isolation and depression. And I would suspect for all parties involved in our discussion today that being that we have just been through the pandemic and we've all been isolated, do you see that maybe the numbers are different this year because we're not seeing everyone the way we were? We're not talking to people the way we did. I mean, I don't even know, as far as even with the chief, if he is seeing that things in general have been very different through the pandemic.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely been a great impact, I think, on everyone, and I think you've identified the isolation piece, and I think it's affected everyone. We see that in the calls we're going on now. We'll have some increase in domestic violence and those type of things that we think are really, a lot of them are rooted in the fact that people are isolated and that they're kind of at their wits' end in a way, and it's really caused them to kind of go over the edge like that. I do want to say that, part of this whole reporting thing, people do feel like a little bit of mind your own business and a little bit about, I don't want to get involved. I think Tom mentioned that their names are protected. They're not public record reporters. We would never give out names of people that report. And I really think people need to look at that as what you're doing when you make that report. We have this with 51As on abuse of children. People are very hesitant to do that because they're afraid that maybe there's a reason that they heard that the child is having problems or there's an issue. But that will be vetted out. I think you need to look at it. We tell our officers and mandated reporters, you need to look at it as you're opening a door of resources to a family. And I think it's the same here. So if you're able to make that call, and Terry mentioned it too, if you're able to make that call, you're really just opening the door for resources. And then whether they take that case or not, they have a knowledge of what's going on at that household. And most of the time it ends up connecting someone to care or connecting someone to some type of resource that's going to help them. So yeah, there's been quite an impact, I believe, on people, and probably this population even more, because a lot of them are shut-ins and have a hard time actually visiting people. And I know the last couple of years, my wife and I have gone around on Christmas and done the presents, and you really see that the Center for Active Living give out. And when you do that, you really see that some people that's their only connection probably for that week of seeing someone. So when you add the pandemic to that, I think it really had a major impact. Yeah.
So just to respond to that, I completely agree. I mean, I think the pandemic has totally impacted all of us as well as our consumers. And that's why it's so important to recognize that isolation has caused, concerns. We've probably seen a slight dip in numbers across the state, but still last year during the pandemic in 2020, 34,812 intakes were still received for protective services across the state. And I agree with you, Chief. Elder abuse, we need to remind people that it's everyone's business.
Absolutely. Yeah.
When we go and talk to our neighbor, you don't want that person to feel like you're checking things out. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So Tommy or Terry, do you have any suggestions where honestly, sometimes it's a gut feeling that something is wrong, but do you have any suggestions about, questions someone could ask without invading their space to kind of get a feel for whether or how serious the situation is?
Yeah, I think I can take that one. I think just knowing your neighbors to begin with, I think is important. So you can see some of those changes if you see changes in them. Physical appearance, more isolation, staying in their house even more than they usually do. And I think just talking about, everyday stuff will help kind of break that ice. I know when I go out to houses, I still go out to houses in my job now where you just kind of want to just talk about the weather or what's going on. And you kind of just get a little bit more insight into, how they're feeling. And a lot of the consumers we deal with, once you just start talking, it's just, they divulge a lot more than you think they would, and even the tough ones at first where they don't want you at the house. They don't want you there. If you kind of just, like I said, keep it about stuff that's happening today, about family, about, something in the house you see, or, oh, I look, the grass looks great. Or just, if you keep the communication line open with your neighbors, I feel like you'll be able to better see when you see some of those signs that are changing.
Got it. So as we always say, when we talk about World Elder Abuse Awareness Day, it's always see something, say something. So if you're listening to this show and you notice that your neighbor is acting differently, or maybe has gotten hurt and you're not really sure why, you might need to report it, and someone will go and check on that person to make sure that they truly are okay and nobody has harmed them. This is a job for everybody. And Terry and I, we had this discussion earlier in the week, but it's not one person's job. I mean, that's why there are a group of us on your screen today, and it goes beyond us. It's like the old Breck commercial. They told two people and they told two people, but it really is everybody's job. And we are all here to work with our community. Chief is a proponent of community events and doing things together, which is why he's here today. So is Old Colony Elder Services. So, there is help out there. If you are the person watching this show and you might be being taken advantage of by your family, you can call too. Your family is never going to know that it was you. But we want you to be safe. We want you to have what you need for the rest of your years and not have somebody take that opportunity away from you. Do we have any closing thoughts? Who wants to go first?
I'll go first. I like what Terry said. She really made sense, and she put it really succinctly when she said these type of issues are everyone's problem. Because if you think about it, you can't expect in my world of policing, if we put so many police out on the street, we can't just respond to what they see. They don't see much at all. Everything we respond to is someone that witnessed it and calls it in and has some type of suspicion. That's where all of our cases come from. Very few of the things we deal with, we actually witness. We very seldom witness someone get assaulted. We're never going to witness someone behind closed doors getting assaulted. If we don't look at this, not just this issue, but any type of issue with this victim, if we don't look at it as everyone's problem, we really, as a police department, we have no way of responding or even knowing it happened. So I think the way Terry mentioned it, that these are everyone's issues. And if you think of it that way, you're not able to engage us. We're then not able to engage the other agencies. So if people don't come forward and give information, I think all of us really are at a standstill. So just, in closing, just remember that using Terry's words, these are all our problems. So.
Terry, anything you want to add?
Just that we're coming together, to collaborate and recognize, to build awareness with elder abuse. The theme is lifting up voices and working together with consumers and their families and us as professional agencies is the key for us to help intervene in these cases of elder abuse.
Tommy, did you want to add anything?
Yeah, I think it's just, you guys have all said it so well. It's just, if you see something, say something. And even if you think it's something small, we can get involved. And if it's something small, then it can be that, and we can move on. But if you see something, say something, and just report. If you're on the fence about it, I would urge people to just report and let us get involved. And if, like I said, if it's nothing major, then we will move on, and, no harm done.
I agree. And just to piggyback on what Tommy said, you can also call the Center for Active Living and talk to one of our social outreach workers, and they can also help you. That's why we're here. We do hear things get initiated in different ways and in different places, and we hear about these things also. So I cannot thank you all enough for being here with me today. Chief, thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy day to join us. As always, it's always good to see you.
Beth, can I ask you a quick question? Can you tell me a little bit more about the sign program and how that works?
So the Old Colony Elder Services is having lawn signs printed, and we will be giving them away through the Center for Active Living. So you can call the center at 508-830-4230 and let us know that you would like to have one of these lawn signs. You will reserve it, and as soon as we have it, we'll let you know. You can display it on your lawn for the entire month of June. Great. That's how we're going to get our awareness out. Thank you, Chief.
Yeah.
Thank you all so much, and I hope you all have a fantastic day.
You too. Take care.
Thank you.
You too. Thank you.